Boom, there we go. Hey everyone, welcome to the Tuesday, May 9th SIG release weekly meeting. My name is Jeremy and I'll be the host today. Marco has shared the agenda for us. If you want to add yourself as an attendee, that would be super great. And do we have a volunteer to take notes this week?
I can take notes.
All right, thanks, Josh.
Get the agenda to come up.
That would be great, Josh. Thanks. And before we get started, I just wanted to remind everyone that this meeting is covered by the Kubernetes Code of Conduct, which basically boils down to please be excellent to one another. And we are recording this, so it will be available on YouTube. So if you'd like to not be on camera or anything else, just fair warning that this is recorded and will be on YouTube. All right, before we jump into any sub-project updates or other discussion items, we'd like to welcome anybody that's a new attendee to this meeting. If you'd like to come off mute and introduce yourself, that would be super awesome.
Yeah, my name is E. I work for Microsoft. This is my first meeting.
Welcome.
I guess I can go next. My name is Simin. I work for Cloudera. Actually, second or third time attend, but the first time it got canceled, and second time I joined a little bit late. Catch the maybe second half of it last week. The third time, yeah, today is third time. I think I got an invitation because I applied for a shadow program. Yeah, that's why I'm here. Thank you.
My name is Haitao, and yeah, I'm planning to do more upstream contribution. I work in Microsoft at the Azure Kubernetes service.
By the way, I'm Josh Burkus, perennial SIG release, occasional contributor. I actually wanted to interrupt because I'm going to need somebody else to take notes.
Okay.
The note stock keeps freezing on me.
Okay.
I'm not going to be able to keep up.
Yeah, I'm in there and I can help out, Josh.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
And when you have to drop, Jim, I'll take notes too.
Okay.
Thanks, Josh. Anybody else?
Hi there, everyone. I am Nitesh. I work mostly in the SIG contributs area, and this is my first release meeting. Looking forward to learn and interact with you all.
Awesome, welcome. All right. If anybody else wants to say hello, feel free, or we'll move on to our sub-project updates. And the first one is release engineering. If you want to say hello, feel free to unmute real quick. Raise your hand and we can call on you. Otherwise, we'll move on to the release engineering update from Marco. Okay, Marco, floor is yours. Take it away.
Thank you. So I like two quick updates. The first one is that Go 1.24 and 1.99 updates are done. So everything is in place, cherry-picks are merged, so we are ready for that side. And the next topic is that patch releases. They're around the corner again. Cherry-pick deadline is this Friday, and then we have the releases scheduled for next Wednesday. This is 17 May. So if you have anything, please let us know. I can be keeping an eye on cherry picks. I have requested for some cherry picks to be provided more details, especially around if you need to cherry pick to some earlier branches or stuff like that. So let's hope that we will figure that out. And this to-do can be removed because Veronica sent the announcement earlier today. So thanks her for taking care of that. And I'm not sure if you have anything else from release engineering side.
Do you know who will be doing the releases?
I'm not sure, but we can ask on Slack and
okay.
Figure that out. I can take care of that.
Okay, we'll start a thread there. All right, any questions for release engineering? Okay, next up is release team. Leo, Grace said she couldn't be here. Do you want to give us the release team update?
Yep, sure. So the release team today is a deadline. We closed the application, the shadow application form last week. And since then we've been, so the team leads have been looking through the applicants and selecting the applicants. And today we have the deadline to make the final, to send out the final emails. So this is getting wrapped up by today. Grace is working on creating documents and getting things started. If you like to follow up, we have an issue which has tons of check boxes. Basically, it documents the entire release cycle. So if you're interested in like all those things we need to do or the release lead needs to do, you can follow up there. There are quite a few things we need to do until next week. So we plan to start the release cycle next week, but everything is on time. So there's no problems. So yeah, that's the status.
All right. One other update, Arnaud is going to be the release manager for branch manager for 128. So thanks, Arnaud, for stepping up to do that. I will open a PR to add you to the release team docs today. Okay, any questions for the release team subproject? All right, let's move on to our open discussion items. Marco, you've got the first one.
Yes. So a quick context story for folks that are not involved. So over the past few weeks, CK Infra and folks from Kubernetes work on bringing up a new EKS-based Proud Build cluster that we want to switch some jobs that we are running in a Kubernetes GCP cluster and in Google internal GCP cluster. So we actually started doing that, and the first batch of jobs was merged today. So those jobs that are recorded in the PR, that's linked in the agenda, and I can also share it here, are now running on the new cluster. This includes some of the release blocking jobs as well. So please keep an eye on that, keep an eye on boards. I will be also taking a look. But if you find anything strange, please let us know in SIG release, CK test infra channel. Also, thanks to Carlos for taking care of many of our projects like Telefote, Bomb, and other stuff. If you find anything else for SIG release that can be migrated, that is not in the pool of release blocking jobs, like for our projects and sub projects, those jobs can be migrated as well if they don't depend on any external resources. So if you want to help with that, it is welcome. And yeah, that would be it regarding the PR and regarding the change to EKS Proud Build cluster.
That's super exciting to see. And thanks for all the work doing the migration to EKS for Proud. I've been following along. It's good stuff. Any questions about that topic? Okay, I had two things that I put on the agenda. The first one is I've updated our annual report PR, a little delayed there, but I think I've incorporated all of the feedback that people had left. So if anybody wants to take a look at that, that would be super useful. We, I think, need to merge it as soon as possible. So if you could take a look and review and see if we missed anything or if there's anything that looks incorrect, please give a shout out. And I'm going to ping Sasha and Nabarun to review it again because they were the ones that left most of the feedback. And I've addressed most of that. Second one I added was at KubeCon during the contributor summit, there was some discussion about restarting the working group LTS. I opened up issue and sent a mail to the Kubernetes dev mailing list. And there seems to be a lot of +1s, not full consensus yet, but I went ahead and I opened a PR to the Kubernetes community repo to add to the sigs.yaml file and all the other scaffolding that kind of goes along with starting a working group. It also has a draft charter that I would love to get some feedback and reviews on from folks if you're interested. SIG release will be one of the stakeholder SIGs for that. Okay, Jim, you have your hand up.
Yeah, just curious. I know that we did the working group for LTS like probably 4 or 5 years ago now, and I didn't know if we're involving anybody in from kind of the dismemberment of the original WGS or the working group long-term support. The only reason I ask is it seemed like we got to a point, I was involved early on with it, is we got to a point where it's like, we all like this idea, but there's not much action to take. It's kind of like relying on other SIGs and other folks in the community to be interested in carrying forward that LTS. I'm sure things are different now, but I didn't know if there's any lessons learned or like, we had WG LTS before. What's different now than, in the past, I guess, as long as we're identifying that.
If you actually look at, there's a link to the notes from the meeting that we had at the Contributor Summit. And a lot of the discussion was about that, have things changed since we disbanded WG LTS in 2019.
Perfect. What link was that you're referring to? Is it
well, if you look at the PR, there's a link to the notes.
Gotcha. The 7259 is the document for that issue that's open.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And inside of there, let's see if I can find which doc it was.
Yeah, I mean, mind you, the number of changes may not be sufficient.
Correct.
But things have changed.
It's worth revisiting the topic.
100%, and I haven't been involved in it nearly close enough to have any sort of opinion, but it's just kind of like, hey, this seems like deja vu a little bit. I didn't know if we were already looking. It sounds like folks are way ahead of me, so I appreciate that. And I'll throw the link in the agenda.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And on the tracking issue, there are +1s from a few folks that were involved. Josh, as an example, and
yeah, we had all 4 leads of the old WG actually at the Contributor Summit meeting, luckily enough. And we've all endorsed reopening the working group, although preferably with someone else's leads.
The PR proposes me and Jordan and Micah Hausler from AWS as chairs for the working group. All right, if there are no other questions on that topic, we will go ahead and move on. And it looks like the next topic was from Nitish. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Go ahead and come off mute and bring your topic up.
Sure. So I am here to address a topic about the SIG Spotlight blog on the SIG release that has never been taken in consideration. According to that, the thing is that we actually have a bunch of Spotlight blogs on a different variety of SIGs. The general process for building a SIG Spotlight blog is something like we generally have certain questions around a certain SIG, like what are the different ways to get involved within a particular SIG and much more like that. And we generally approach co-chairs of that SIG to generally ask those questions because they definitely have a good experience. Now, in the last Contribix Comms meeting, the question was raised about why not there's a blog on SIG release, since release is very important part of the Kubernetes area, right? One of the major concerns that that was taken in consideration was the release cycle changes frequently. So we are not sure who are the actual people that are staying constant or whom we can be actually reaching out to so that these people can actually address our queries about the release process. Another thing, what a Spotlight blog does is it actually provides a major responsibility on what does SIG actually does. For example, what does SIG usability do, how to get involved with SIG usability, and much more questions like that. So I just wanted to know what is the correct way, according to the SIG release, to have a blog, Spotlight blog on the SIG release. Should we actually divide that blog into 2 parts, mentioning about the different aspects of SIG release, whatever it covers, or what should be the approach that SIG Contribix Comms contributors should actually follow to present a blog on the SIG release?
So I dropped a link to our page, our README file from the SIG release directory in the Kubernetes community repo. I think it depends on what you're trying to cover in the blog. SIG release has, you mentioned that it changes from release to release. Like that's one sub-project of SIG release. SIG release has a set of chairs and a set of technical leads that is consistent until we rotate chairs and leads. But those folks don't rotate in and out every release. That's consistent like any other SIG would have. The SIG has two sub-projects currently. One is the release engineering project, which has a set of folks that are contributing, doing cutting of branches and maintaining of the release tooling that we use as part of the release process. And then the other sub-project is the release team, and that's the one that does rotate through every cycle. So 128, 129, 130 will have different release teams, and those are folks that are staffing and running that particular release. I think it makes sense to talk about both aspects if you're covering the SIG, because both are avenues to contribute, right? Like there is definitely an avenue to contribute to release engineering, work on the tooling, become a release manager associate, become a release manager. There's a path for that. Working on the release team is another one that's gotten a lot of focus in the past. Leo, you have your hand up. Do you want to go ahead and chime in?
Yep. So I have a question. But first, I think overall this is like an interesting or good idea. Over the past, I think since ever we've been talking at conferences and so on about SIG release and also the release team and release engineering, and maybe writing something this into a blog could be very interesting, could be cool. My question would be: is this like a document which needs to be updated every I don't know, half a year or a year? Is this like or is this a blog which is basically which we don't need to update? Because then, we could also put this maybe in the README in a way. So where's the blog aspect? That's my question.
Basically, the blog is actually, there's no particular deadline up till which the blog should be updated. We actually have a bunch of blogs, and with years passing, we generally update those blogs depending upon what major changes have been there. For example, like Docker shim change was there. So how did SIG docs actually managed all these things? So depending upon what events has been occurring a particular year, we generally tend to provide a more specific blog on a particular SIG, such that the reader actually reads the latest blog and gets the latest information. Okay, this SIG performed this act to actually resolve these many things that were occurring on the way. So there's no specific deadline, but there are certain SIG Spotlight blogs that have not been updated over the years, and people still generally read it. For example, the SIG Spotlight blog and SIG usability, I don't think so. It has been updated since 2021. So there's no as such deadline, but depending on what events actually occur, we can generally write a new blog like this SIG performed these many X to conquer this event. All right,
sounds good. So it's basically like a very high level overview over the SIG. It's not going into detail. So probably maybe in general, the contribution or the letter, like what Jeremy mentioned, is maybe something we could mention, but probably not like any more details. Then we could maybe reference to the documentation itself. Sounds good.
You're muted, Jeremy, if you are talking.
Sorry, I was. I said I will take over for notes for Jim since he was stepping away. But what do you want to do as next actions for your blog? It sounds like people think it's a good idea to do. Generally, you talk to SIG leads for that. Is that what you want to do for this one, or do you want to focus it on any of the particular sub-projects? What's your intent?
Basically, what we are discussing about is having an interview with the co-chairs of a specific SIG. So I just wanted to know whom I can reach out to from the SIG release that has a specific information about the SIG release, questions on how to get involved with the SIG release, how did this SIG release manage to conquer this event, and other much details. So what I will be creating is I'll be creating a specific docs for the co-chairs or the people that will be addressing that specific questions. Once they have answered those specific questions, we'll be creating a blog out of it, and we'll publishing it on the Kubernetes website for the same.
Okay, I think your best bet then is to use the link I shared to grab the names of the folks that are chairs and tech leads. You could also, as part of that, we can also add in current release lead if you want to add in for a little bit of extra depth. But I think that'll give you the folks you're looking for. All right, any questions or any more discussion about that topic? Okay, sounds like we don't have any more about that one. Do we have any other topics we'd like to discuss today? Marco, I think I had a question for you. We created a couple of project boards during the meeting during KubeCon.
Yeah.
Do we want to add those to this agenda to go through? Because we used to have the project board walk that was like board number 23. Does it make sense to put those here and do a kind of recurring triage on those?
That's a good idea, but before that, we should actually create initial tickets. Okay. We mentioned that we plan to have sessions regarding that, but since everyone was still recovering from KubeCon, we didn't follow up on that. This is a pretty good reminder. Maybe we should follow up on that and try to schedule some sessions to have planning. I will probably do planning for packages. I can create issues on my own. I will probably do that later this week or beginning of next week. But we need to figure it out for the signing efforts. Okay. I guess for that, we will probably have to wait next week because Carlos and Puerco are on CityCon or Open Source Summit. I'm not sure. So after they get back, maybe we can schedule something and try to take care of the other board as well.
Okay, that sounds good. I will ping both of them next week once they're back to schedule something.
Also, Sander wanted to be involved in those boards, no? Like he volunteered to project manage.
Okay. Okay, I was just capturing notes, sorry. Okay, any other questions or discussion about that topic before we, I guess we can call it a day? Heba asked, do we have a list of issues that new folks can pick? We do have issues that are tagged as good first issues across some of the repos. There are a number of tooling repos that are open as well. I don't know if we have a landing, like a documentation of all of the repos that the SIG owns. Should check that and verify that. But we do have some things that are tagged as good first issue. If folks are interested, we can probably, if we don't have that today, I think we can summarize a list of all of the tooling repos. That's going to be the place that most of the issues are going to be open, since that's where a lot of the work is going to happen.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else before we adjourn for today? All right. Well, with that, I will adjourn for today. Thanks everybody for attending. Leo says he likes the idea of creating a list of repos the SIG owns. I'll double check and see if we have that. If we don't, then we'll create one. There we go.
I'm
Thank
not sure
you.
if that's
Thank-
all inclusive or not, but that's the community list, like under release engineering.
Cool. Thanks, Jim. Let's see if I think that's pretty accurate.
Okay.
So inside of that, there's a number of tools. Yeah, that includes the new attester as well. So I think this covers most of what we have. So going through those repos and looking for good first issues is probably a great place to start. Thanks for confirming that, Jim. I was trying to do that as I was speaking.
While you're hosting and taking notes and everything
Yeah.
else, yeah, no worries.
Multitasking a little too hard at the moment. I'll add that as a link in the docs, though. Thank you. All right. With that, we'll call it a day. Hope everybody has a great rest of your Tuesday. Yeah. Sorry, lost track of days. All right. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.